Australian agriculture is heavily dependent on the European honeybee. Our hard-working little friends pollinate around 65% of our food crops, along with lucerne and clover to feed our meat and dairy industries. This month, an industry panel heard that the Indonesian strain of the Asian bee, currently contained to the Cairns region, could wipe out the European honeybee within years if left unchecked. In a decision that has incensed many in the bee industry and producers, the federal government has decided to shift resources to containing rather than trying to eradicate the invader. Industry leader Jodie Goldsworthy gives Digital Farm TV the buzz.
The Asian bee threatens the very fundamental of what forms the base of our food pollination system. European managed honeybees contribute to 2/3 of Australia's agricultural production. The Asian bee, which is currently contained around Cairns, if allowed to spread, will spread across all areas where European honeybees are managed, and it will seriously impact the viability of beekeeping in this country, which will in turn impact on the ability to produce food. The government decided in January this year that it was no longer technically feasible to eradicate the Asian bee. Unfortunately, that was not a scientifically based decision. A Senate inquiry found that there were other factors that influenced that decision, and since that time they have been working on writing a management plan for the Asian bee. In industry, we are very concerned about whether that is in fact going to really achieve anything. We're waiting very much for the long-awaited transition to management plan to actually become a public document. That's been being formulated from about April this year through to, we're now in November, and we still haven't seen a copy of that plan. That plan so far has been confidential. The wider honey industry, let alone the wider pollination dependent industries, have not been able to actually look at that plan. They really urgently need to set up the scientific advisory panel and look at the information that the volunteers, we've had over 50 volunteer beekeepers in Cairns for the last few months, making sure that they help the good work of Biosecurity Queensland on the ground. And so they really need to take into consideration some of the information that those volunteer beekeepers, very specialised in their skill base, have found up there in Cairns. But really we're just waiting to see this, this management plan. We still maintain that the only option is eradication. Whilst it's contained in the small area that it is, some of the volunteers have actually been indicating that the rainforest areas, which we thought were a big problem, may not be the problem. The bees actually are not going into those rainforest areas, they're actually just going to the edge and coming back out of the forest. So some of the technical details, which were assumptions that were made, we believe are actually not true and correct, and this is where this scientific advisory panel needs to be urgently set up in order to help us to determine scientifically if it is actually feasible to eradicate the bee or not. And at the moment we are many months down the track and there's still no new scientific evidence that's been gathered because there has not been a plan in place. I think every landholder, every person involved in agriculture should see this as one of the emerging threats to the agricultural systems that underpin our food security.